we're gonna use this delicious piece of beef to make steak tacos with honey chipotle dip. Oh yeah.
A big thanks to Napoleon Grills for sponsoring this episode.
For the steak that I'll be using, I got a beautiful piece of beef from Ireland. And this in Europe is called a buffet. Some may call this a bib. I don't know why you would call this a bib, but never mind. I guess I don't know why you would call it a buffet either. It's just weird, it sounds weird. Bib. Oh, the other side's way more beautiful. Oh, look at that. Isn't that a beauty? You know the things that I look for when I look at a steak like this? Look at the long grains. If you stretch it out a little bit, you expose all the long grains like that. That means this is a working type of meat. It has thick, strong fibers with intramuscular fat. It's nice and red. The hemoglobin in the meat have been given plenty of time to develop, which means we're going to have loads of flavor. The fat marbling inside the meat is going to make sure that this meat is going to be juicy and tender. And so all the signs of tasty beef are in this piece of meat. I'm going to quickly remove some leftover silver skin, but other than that, I'm not going to do much to it because that would just be a waste. There we go. A little bit of silver skin on the back. Gotta get rid of that. There we go. But since I'm making tacos, I do want flavor. And to build up the flavor, I'm using a system. The system is first go in with a little bit of salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. The salt will draw out the moisture. The onion and the garlic will make the flavor more powerful. The pepper will give it a little zing. And that's what I need to go on first. But because I'm using this, I'm just using a little bit. Don't overdo it, but just put a little bit on both sides. So once you bite into it, you get a nice crust on both sides. And I'm going to follow up the PitmasterX Texas seasoning with the PitmasterX beef seasoning. This will give it a little bit more color, another layer of flavor, and both have salt. So still be careful, don't add too much. It's quite powerful in flavor. And a little bit goes a long way. That is looking good. I'm going to let this sit on my countertop, and that's going to give my seasoning an opportunity to draw into the meat and become one beautiful big chunk of flavor. In the meantime, I'm going to be making a salad. It's more of a salsa, a pico de gallo style of thing. Of course, I like to give it a little twist. Pico de gallo is really nice, but I like a little bit of red onion to go in my salsa. I'm going to chop it nice and fine. And for my tomatoes, I'll be using these little cherry tomatoes, like these snack tomatoes, because nowadays they are more sweet than like a regular tomato. And sweet tomatoes go so well with tacos. The sweeter and more flavorful they are, the more they stand out. I cut these down to about the same size. Tomatoes, tomato, combined with the red onion. Yeah. Now if you want, you can add some fresh cilantro, and personally I kind of like cilantro. I do understand if people don't like cilantro, might think it tastes like soap, but when adding cilantro you might think that it tastes, well, not as great. So just add a little bit of it, and then I promise you it will make your salad better. And then a squeeze of lime. Yeah, just make sure it's lime and not lemon, because lime is a little bit sweeter and a little bit more flavorful. Then I like to boost my salsa with a little bit of PitmasterX gyros seasoning. Just a little bit, like half a teaspoon or so. It's going to make the flavors pop even more. Do a quick taste test. Perfect. I'm going to set this in the fridge. Now it's time to make the Chipotle Honey Dip. And this is maybe my favorite part of the whole recipe. I'm going to start with 4 tablespoons of chipotle flakes, 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, 2 tablespoons of the PitmasterX Sweet Tea Barbecue Rub, 1 tablespoon of dried oregano. Fire up the Napoleon sizzle zone, put my Scotsburg pan on, heat up half a cup of peanut oil. Once the oil is hot, you got to be extremely careful, because basically we're frying here in this shallow pan. We're just going to drip in the oil. We now have almost like a Tex-Mex version of a chili oil. Super hot, super exciting, and if you could just smell what's going on here, it's insane. My nostrils are tingling, everything is getting together here. I'm just gonna give this a little bit of time to cool down, and then we're gonna continue with this recipe because it's not done yet. Now that it's cooled down, and it really needs to be cold to the touch because it's a cold sauce since we're adding Greek yogurt. 1, 2 tablespoons. Let's mix that up. This is gonna become a really nice, good looking sauce. Because of the oil, you're not gonna need any mayonnaise or something like that. So I'm gonna add another couple tablespoons. So far I'm about maybe, I don't know, maybe half a cup, a little over half a cup in. All right, now I'm gonna add some honey, 1/4 cup of honey to sweeten things up. Let me switch it up here. I want it to be a real nice, smooth. Gotta get that oil in the yogurt. All right, let's give that a try. Whoa, wow, that is good. I do need more salt though. Proper teaspoon of salt. All right, let's give that. Honey Chipotle Dip.
Wow.
That is good. This is ready. I'm gonna put this in the fridge real quick, and then we're gonna grill up the steak. I will be cooking on my Napoleon gas grill. Now I'm gonna be firing up all 4 burners. And then I'm going to let the barbecue come up to temperature. The steak is ready to go, and you can see that the color changed a little bit. It oxidized on the outside, the flavors penetrated into the meat. Now that my grill says it's hot, I'm going to dial down the gas. Just reduce the temperature to, I don't know, let's say half gas. Because I do want that initial sear, but then we need to cook the bib or the buffet all the way through. So let's open this up. Oh, it's starting to look good. Whoa, look at that. We got a nice crust on the outside. We got plenty of heat. I did turn the burners back up again so to get a little bit more heat. I'm gonna close the lid and let it continue to cook until I have a beautiful crust on both sides, and the inside has a core temperature of around 52 to 54 degrees Celsius. And some parts it's getting a little over where I wanna be, and some parts it's a little under. Now, don't worry about that. The trick is just you gotta keep measuring throughout the cook, and once it comes up, you think, wow, I got some spots that are getting too hot, just take it off and then let it rest. And what that's gonna do is that the residual heat that sits on the outside of the steak that's basically too hot is gonna go down into the steak and it's gonna continue to cook the steak. And that's why we do all that resting. So this is gonna be on this board for probably 15 minutes until it stops cooking. But of course we're gonna make use of that time by grilling some tortillas on the grill. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little bit of residue from the steak on the grill grate. It's gonna make the tortillas taste even better. Now will you look at that? Now that looks freaking delicious to me. And all of the juices on the board is not moisture loss. That's bonus sauce. That's right. It's just a glass half full or half empty kind of thing. And I look at it as extra sauce. We got beautiful crust, juicy steak. Whoa, let's get a slice out of this. I'm gonna cut it into a chunk first, like that. And then notice how the grains run in this direction. This is gonna oxidize a little bit, so it's gonna be a little redder than it is at the moment. And then I'm gonna cut it against the grain. Now with the bib or bavette, cutting against the grain is very important. And you also gotta make sure to slice it not too thick, so you don't have to really work hard chewing on it. Especially for your guests, that's very important. And if you put it on tacos, that's even more important, because you wanna have bits that you can easily chew, fall apart, and gonna be really nice and tender. Whoa. Oh yeah, that's mine. That was good. How did you know it was done?
Smelled it from miles away. It's timing expertise.
Let me finish up a plate real quick, and then we'll eat this for lunch. I got my tortilla. I'm gonna put on a couple of slices of steak, the bib or buffet, or whatever you call this in your side of the pond. Oh boy. Hold on just a little longer. Don't bite into it yet. We're gonna make it better. I promise. It's gonna be even better. Oh, there we go. Whoa. That is good. Freaking delicious. Now, if you want, like I do, you can put some cilantro on it. If you don't, then just don't. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous?
That looks insane.
Let's make a picture out of that. I'm gonna take another one so I can taste test it. Taco, burrito, whatever you want. Okay, I really think you need to make this. See you guys in the next one. And if you don't, you're missing out on life experience if you don't. This is one for the books. Oh. As always, the recipe is on pitmasterx.com. Go check it out.